The foulest stench is in the air, the funk of 40,000 years, and grisly ghouls from every tomb are closing in to seal your doom. And though you fight to stay alive, your body starts to shiver, for no mere mortal can resist the evil of the Thriller.
Well, yes, very, very good. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Yelling at Gaseous Anomalies, and happy pre-Halloween for those of you who celebrate. I'm, of course, your host, Captain Matt Ross, accompanied with my co-host, XO Michael Vincent Price Pontone. How are we doing tonight, Mike?
Not bad. Thank you very much, Captain, for having me. I'm TLDR, man. My captain said I was prepared for a stinker, but my goodness, did I like tonight?
Are you serious?
I like scary, horror, spooky stuff. You know that. Matt doesn't like to be scared.
That's not scary.
My
Cheesy.
captain does not like horror or spooky or anything.
No, I do like. I like some scary and some spooky stuff. I just don't like gore. Catspaw, which is tonight's episode of Star Trek, I found neither scary nor horror. I think it starts well, but we should get into it.
Great atmosphere. Come on, let's get into it.
Okay.
Well, first of all, how are you doing, Captain?
I'm doing super cool. Thanks for asking. This is, another exciting time period. We've got New York Comic-Con coming up. We have a whole bunch of things going on. We've got you running in a marathon at the same time of Comic-Con.
No, 2 days later.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. Take me away from purchasing dice and things like that. But I'm looking forward to that. And
I'm going to bet the entire family fortune on black.
Yeah, well, that's good luck to you on that one. It's in Atlantic City. But the weather's changing. Like taking pictures of the crisp air. There's still flowers out. It's nice. Things are otherwise okay. But what about you? You getting set for your marathon? You're excited about that?
Yes, I did a half marathon a week and a half ago, as the audience noted, and that was a good preparation. And we'll see. I'm going to take it nice and easy. It's supposed to be good weather by the sea. Going to have all my friends around me, so I'm looking forward to it.
Mike. Yeah,
I'm looking
forward to seeing you run. We might
roll some bones.
Special promo. Yeah, there we go.
And I am indeed. I'm going to Comic-Con this. Next Friday, a week from this Friday, and I'm going to do a little bit of cosplay. I work.
Oh, yeah, sure you do. What are you going to be dressed up as?
Not a Star Trek thing, alas. Just because I don't have anything, I know.
Oh, my goodness.
I always wanted to do like a red shirt who was just beat to crap, like, holes in my chest and bleeding out of every orifice. But no, I'm actually going to go. I'm rolling out a costume that I've done before that kind of fits me pretty well, suits me perfectly. You never read the book Hannibal, did you? Sorry,
no,
the book Red Dragon.
No, I have not read the book Red Dragon. Who are you going to be? Hannibal? Are you going to be? No,
I'm going to be the Red Dragon. I'm going to be Francis Dollaride.
Okay, I thought you were going to be Jodie Foster's character.
No. And alas, Crystal, my wife, I'm like, okay, honey, you're going to have to draw this big red dragon tattoo on my back. And she's like, Michael, I cannot draw. So I'm going to be curious to see how that turns out.
You can just have a big smiley face. And just
say, that would work.
Else. Yeah, of course. Or, you could go like a character from like, a video game or something. No one will notice. It's all good, clean fun at Comic-Con. But I've learned the hard way never to go in costume. Because all costumes are usually made out of polyethylene, polyester, and rayon, so you're a big pile of.
They get hot
in the evening.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, for Halloween, I'll probably put it on another Star Trek uniform. I've done all of them: original series, Next Gen, DS9, Voyager, which is kind of like a combination of DS9 and TNG.
Mm-hmm.
I've done Enterprise. Those are all the only Star Treks that are worthwhile. I won't mention anything else because
I will say, I know, we were just talking before we started recording how much we kind of despise modern Trek, except for me with Picard season 3. But I am not going to lie. For whatever reason, I kind of like the Discovery uniforms of the blue and gold. I think they're kind of cool.
Well, that's probably because you like basketball. But that they look like the LA Lakers. I'm sorry. That's what they look like to me.
Possibly.
Let's talk about our special
Yes,
Halloween
back into
episode,
it. Spooky.
Catspaw.
Here we
Yes,
go.
it was written by Robert Bloch with the assistance of DC Fontana and directed by our superstar director, Joe Pevney. And I'm going to read you the TV Guide, October 21, 1967 issues. Little blurb. Catspaw. Castles, dungeons, witches, and black cats pervade this episode as Kirk seeks a rational explanation of and escape from the alien forces that have lured him to Pyrus 7. It's a dark, forbidding planet devoid of life, at least as Earthlings know it. Script by Robert Bloch. So that's the basic summation of it. That's pretty accurate for TV Guide and probably a hell of a lot better than anything that Paramount could release.
It's true.
I still am not a fan of this episode. I kind of hinted on that. I'm not burying the lead. I did not like it. It's a little bit silly. I do like the opening, though, where they have a landing party lost, and they're trying to reach someone, and they get a call from Jackson. And who's Jackson? And did you like it?
Jackson's
opening, anyway.
dead. And
Jackson's dead!
here's the thing, Captain. Like, I like this. We're going to get into it. My whole thing is, how many writers were on this?
It's just 3.
Oh, just 3
writers. But the story is actually a recycled Robert Bloch story. That was his problem. No one liked this script originally. Roddenberry didn't kind of like it. Justman didn't like it. Gene L. Kuhn didn't like it. NBC didn't like it. And DC Fontana didn't like it. They said it needed some work on it. The problem is that they didn't like the fact that it was kind of too magical and too much fantasy, and it reminded everyone too much of Lost in Space in a kind of jokey, pathetic kind of way. So that's why they didn't like it.
Oh, I didn't think that's the thing that I actually liked, that they were taking the thing, they were taking this really seriously. Like, it wasn't like Lost in Space. It wasn't tongue in cheek. You know, when they okay, come on, we're jumping around.
The music
but it's
is
just because. No, I wouldn't say. Like, they go down there and you see those 3 witches. Like, they're serious as a heart attack, and like when Jackson dies and you hear an ethereal voice coming from his throat. It reminds me, there's a very creepy Edgar Allan Poe story about a guy who's like hypnotized at the point of death, and his soul is being heard through his mouth. It's not like it's cool because you have our characters who we love, who we have these long relationships with, who define their lives through science, encountering these like capital C creepy images. I was frightened for them. It was like watching your friends walking into a scary dark cave. You know what I mean?
Well, I understand that. I don't hate this episode. It's not one of my favorites. There's a lot of fun things in it, but there's also a lot of drag in it, even though it's shot tightly by Pevney. The things I like the most in this is I like the opening with Jackson, who dies. I like the ending, which we'll come to, and there's one middle point I actually like. The thing that this is based on is that Bloch used one of his prior stories called Broomsticks, I believe it is, where humans come to an alien world where all the aliens are witches and warlocks, and they read the subconscious, or what they think is the subconscious of humans, and think they're too violent and kill them all. So that's almost literally the exact same stories. That's what this is.
Here's the thing. The reason why I was asking why there were, how many writers there were, it's because, once again, similar to, oh God, what was the planet with the spores, man?
Oh, This Side of Paradise? You mean that episode? Yes. What about it?
The writers missed a chunk. Like, while they wrote their manuscript out, and as they were walking from the writer's room to the copy room, 10 pages fell out, right? Because here's the thing.
That's where the slowness is.
Everything, right, maybe so. Everything works really well, in my opinion. The set design is great. The acting is great. The setup is great. The mystery is great. Like the tone and the pacing are actually really good in my opinion, except the problem is, and I like the reveal, I like the ending, we're going to get to it. It was so sad but also so creative
And creepy.
and creepy. The missing 10 pages that fell out were why what's the motivation, why were they doing this?
That's a really good question. Why were our antagonists, Sylvia and Corvos, doing this type of thing? But let's just lead into something. Originally, the story, they had Sulu dying, or a crew member dying, and that did not actually fly too well with everybody. They said, hey, let's just let's get like a throwaway. So they used this guy, Jackson, who's our favorite injured stuntman, J. Jimmy Jones. He's the one who got injured from the exploding rock in the apple, and he's also the guy who gets pulled back. He's the stunt double for Jimmy Doohan. So for Scotty. So he's like, his dad says, "You're always gonna die, aren't you, son?" So
well, that's show business.
It's pretty funny. Yeah, it is. But I mean, there are a lot of things that Robert Blanc reused. Like, for example, Sylvia later mentions Sylvia and Korob talk about the old ones. Yes. Sort of an allusion to H.P. Lovecraft. That is also the old ones from the other Robert Bloch story, which is your other one, What Are Little Girls Made Of, with my favorite styrofoam penis in there. So that's kind of ridiculous. The idea also that they had to figure out who was going on the away mission, and Fontana said, you realize you are beaming down the entire command staff for this away mission? So
that always happens.
It's true. You had on the main command staff, or the first away mission, you have Scotty, Sulu, and, Lieutenant Jackson, or as they joke, Ensign Jones. I wonder who's going to die. And then on our away mission, we got Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. But that's kind of fun in a weird way. What is interesting also on top of that is we get a new position as well. We've got Assistant Chief Engineer.
Yeah, dude, I like that guy. I was like, this guy, that's DeSalle. He's competent. He's a good-looking guy. He's powerful-looking.
Bit of a dick, but
like a Starfleet dick. Like he kind of actually, in a weird way. I don't know if you saw this. Reminded me a bit of little old Commander Shaw.
They just disappeared.
Nobody just disappears. They may have encountered a magnetic field or some other obstruction. Mr. Chekhov, recalibrate your sensors. If you need help,
I can do it, sir. I'm not that green.
Lieutenant Uhura, continue in your efforts to break through that static interference.
Aye, aye, sir.
We know they're down there. I want them found.
Okay, a little bit. He's kind of gruff. Captain Shaw. But, DeSalle's been in two other episodes before this. He was in this side of Paradise. He fights Sulu, and he was also in Miri. But he's got one of the better lines in this about, credits to Navy beans. But I want to make a special note of that later. And we have our very first appearance, even though this is shown technically out of order, very first appearance of our very first new ensign character. Why his name is Ensign Pavel Beetleswig Chekhov. That's who comes on in.
Wait, what do you mean the first appearance? He's been in different episodes before this.
Right. The other episodes that we've seen were actually filmed after this one. This is
why he has the worst wig in this?
That's why he's got the worst wig in this one. This is his first appearance, technically. But, for us, it's the fourth or fifth appearance of him. But that's kind of a lot of fun in over here. But we get to see that. One of the other issues they had, so this was rewritten 9 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times by Bloch. Once by D.C. Fontana. Once by Gene Roddenberry. And once by Gene L. Kuhn. And each one of the ones by the other writers were done 2, 3, 4 times. So really they rewrote it a whole bunch of times. But this is what we got. I do like they had a whole bunch of additions and changes, but we'll come to that. First, we get that creepy scene where Jackson is dead, and then we got Kirk beaming down.
Captain Kirk, can you hear me? There is a curse on your ship. Leave this place, or you will all die.
There's a little bit of a behind-the-scenes kerfuffle If you go back to the beginning, you'll see that Shatner and Nimoy go into the turbolift together to go down to the transporter room to see Jackson, but McCoy and Kirk are the only ones in the transporter room because apparently there was an issue of how many scenes can Kirk be in and how many scenes can Spock be in, and this is when the rivalry between Nimoy and Shatner are there. Isaac Asimov wrote a piece in the TV Guide saying, "Why is Mr. Spock so sexy?" Nimoy has gotten the Emmy nomination. Shatner did not. And this is kind of like was a snub of Nimoy. But that's behind the stories. And it's kind of weird that you think our heroes always get along well, but they never do. Oh, well. Anyway, we get down to the planet, which is supposed to be lifeless. I actually do like the way the planet looks, where it's with the smoke and like kind of the eeriness.
Beautiful, and I like the witches, man. They looked great.
Yeah,
it was a
the
good
witches.
Effect. And like the guys, they looked like Starfleet, where they were a little rattled because they're not used to seeing things they can't explain, but also like not scared, not panicked. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it was a good reaction.
It's kind of almost Shakespearean with the three witches.
Well,
they
obviously.
didn't say toil, toil. Yep.
Macbeth.
Of course, there's Shakespeare was Star. Yes, there you go. Star Trek and Shakespeare made to be together.
Comment. Very bad poetry, Captain.
I like that bit too. It's very creepy. Like I said, it starts very strong, but for me, this is the part where we begin to lose it. I assume you saw the enhanced version, like most of us have now seen it, right, with that huge castle.
I saw a castle. I don't know if it was the enhanced because I couldn't actually find this on Prime. So
okay,
yeah, I'm not sure.
All right, it is on Prime, but you can use DVDs like I do. But they had the DVDs. The castle they used was a reused other castle, but the one that we have in the enhanced version, it's this huge hulking structure. It's CGI, obviously. They originally wanted to have a house cat run and open the front door, but house cats, as Robert Jessman noted, are not only not trainable, but they aren't too strong. And as he put in a comment, if you can find a strong house cat that's trained, you let me know. We'll hire it. In fact, the thing that's interesting about the cat that is in this episode, it caused a full day's delay in filming because it wouldn't behave.
Oh, sure.
And it would not make faces like they wanted to. And they were like, man, we're going over budget for the cat. There's a hint on something right there. That is, just to let you know, the castle, the original one, cost $13,000, and I'm not doing the prices. I just have to say it now. The $13,416, even though it looks like a redressed version of where Landru hangs out. And that in today's dollars in 2024 is $126,000. It's crazy. So, and you want to know why it costs so much?
Why?
It's because they built it over the weekend and union rates. So they had overtime. They paid 30% more. It was a bad choice. But anyhow, we have some interesting characters over there. We have Antoinette Bauer as Sylvia. She was in like Wild Wild West. We have Theodore Marcuse as
Wild
Cormoran.
Wild West.
Yeah, it's a little silly. It really is silly. The issue that we have in here is what in gosh name is going on. It's like, like you pointed out, our Enterprise crew is running down there and they're going, I don't understand. Nothing's making any sense. I can't reach the ship. The ship can't reach them, and it fades out. That's kind of weird, too. I mean, it's not like it's not happened before, but the way that does here, I thought that was kind of creepy.
Listen,
what
we're
about
jumping.
You?
I want to jump to the end, but at this, not really. But I mean, that being said, it affects everything because I kept on waiting for the reveal of the reason why these extra galaxy aliens with seemingly unlimited power, similar to the Squire of Gagos.
Gothos. Why do you keep making it Gagos? You got something else on? You got Google on the mind.
No. Gagos is like, oh God, it's something else. I'll look it up. But like, the point is, these aliens who are affecting this medieval European lore thing. Why? Why did they choose this? They forgot to put that in, and would have taken one line, right?
Well,
it would have taken one line. What?
Spock does say something about it when they basically get into the castle and they fall into this hole, which I always think the hole looks silly, but in my reference manual they made a big deal over. I just thought it was the edges were too smooth. But as they're standing there or in there, Spock points out that all of these items are what would be on a base level somewhat scary to a human mind. And I mean, I guess you could see that. You got fog, you got the witches, you got turn back, and you have skeletons.
The universal myths, symbols, ghosts, witches, you mean, and dungeons, and castles, and black cats. They all belong to the twilight world of consciousness.
They tried to tap our conscious mind.
And they missed. They reached basically only the subconscious.
But why? Like, why were they trying to scare the people? Like, that's the thing. When we get to them, they seem
no reason.
pretty chill. Like, they don't they don't actually act evil. They don't express any evil intent or goal. It's not like they're sadists who want to torture people. Why are they doing all the spooky thing?
Because the Star Trek writers decided to release a story right before Halloween. This was released 4 days before. That was the reason. It's a Halloween story. You're saying why did they pick scary stuff like that? It makes absolutely no sense. It's again Robert Bloch's reusing his own story.
But that's the thing. That story had a reason why it was there. I mean, again, it's missing one line, Matt. Captain, it's missing one line. The line is this: we get nourishment from psychic energy, and we find that the most potent psychic energy is fear. So we delve into your subconscious to find what your people believe to be associated with childhood's fears, or the most basic fear of spooky castles and witches and black cats and everything like that.
Yeah, that's the plot of Monsters, Inc. We scare because we care.
Where am I? Monsters Incorporated. We scare because we care.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah. Also, the plot of It, where It is like some space demon that actually is a pregnant female and just feeds off the psychic energy of people that it kills, and when the people are frightened, it's kind of like salting the meat. So, like anything, at least it's an explanation. There's no explanation for why these galactic aliens are choosing to be, like, spirit Halloween spooky.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. That's one of the things that I find bizarre. Also, the fact that Sulu and Scotty are mind-controlled somehow, but they decide not to take over Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, or at least Kirk and Spock at first. That also doesn't make sense to me. This is where it drags on me. Yeah. Although it's shot well, their lines are said excellently, their acting towards it sounds great. It just doesn't make sense. But I'm going to point out to you, and you're going to see these themes of cats repeatedly in Star Trek, Black Cat specifically. You will see this thing where aliens not being who they seem to be. They look human. I'm not saying it's they live. I'm just saying that we were talking about that, because I got you a pin that says vote for candidate. This is just weird, but you will find out in another Star Trek in season 3 by any other name about something similar to this, with aliens not being who they are, and with having a similar type of, I like being human because I can experience feelings and emotions. That's a big thing in this. This idea of what are human emotions and what are feelings, and what's the difference between subconscious and conscious thinking, and what's deep down and what's not deep down. That's what this story is about. I don't think it conveys it so well, and if you really think about it, you could see that on the base level, just like the aliens see humans on a real base level. but I don't really see too much deep thought in this. Do you?
No, I mean, again, that's fine. The explanation is fine, but that does not translate to spooky castles and black cats and witches. So
No.
again, it's just strange, so strange that these professional writers. I mean, Robert Bloch is a prolific writer of mainstream stuff. The guy wrote Psycho, and yet we are in a position where he can't even figure out the motivation, which is arguably the most important, only important thing about in writing. Not the only important thing, but like pretty darn important. It's like you made built a building and you forgot one of the walls.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate on this. But that's what part of this script is forgetting part of the walls, and also, not everything is what it seems. I could tell you the script is sure that it's, in a way, it's kind of short. You're missing that big piece. So what we have over here, though, is first, after they get captured, they're taken to, we meet Korob, who's acting like a wizard. Mm-hmm. And then again, you've got the Squire of Gothos piece again in this big, long hall. He sets a table, and again, it's almost word for word from Squire of Gothos. Doctor, try the wine.
Oh, Doctor, do try the wine. You'll find it excellent.
I mean, like, what is I guess McCoy is a known alcoholic throughout the universe, but I like that.
Well, and also, the guy looks just like Anton LaVey, which I sent Captain a picture of while I was watching it, and he didn't seem to know who that was. Anton LaVey was it was found. Anton LaVey's a cool dude. He was the founder of the Church of Satan, which, contrary to popular belief, is not a church that worships a deity called Satan. It is actually more of a church of atheism that rejects what was perceived to be at the time of the tyranny of the Christian church. So it was more of just a church about individualism, feminism, actually, and self-determination, which just kind of as a rejection, they called the Church of Satanism. But he looks just like, what's the name? Kebab?
Kebab.
Yeah, I'm going to call him Kebab.
Korob.
Korob, yes, of course.
There you go.
He looks just like Korob.
I'm sorry, that's good. This is Theodore Marcuse. Yeah, but what's sad, though, about the actor who played Korob is he died a month after the episode.
No, how?
Yeah, car accident.
Oh, boo-boo.
That's terrible, He died
He was good.
1 month after the episode.
He was a good actor.
He usually played a villain. That's what. But it's very sad that he passed away. Who could tell what actually happens? But I do like the other actor, Michael Barrier, who's LaSalle. This is his last appearance. He was also in Squire and Gothos and This Side of Paradise. So I think it's funny that we have a Squire of Gothos reference in here.
Yeah.
With the wine and the table. I do also like he says here, you could have all these fine crystalline things. It's again like Squire of Gothos. The Squire thinks that it's the 1800s in space, and this guy thinks that the Federation of no money, but secretly has money, is enamored by crystals. And as Kirk says, we can make these,
Diamonds, rubies, emeralds, sapphires. All the crystalline forms that you cherish above all things. A fortune of them for each of you. You leave here without further inquiry.
We could manufacture a ton of these on our ship for you, Cora. They mean nothing to us.
I like that line.
The thing
that
is,
was actually...
Squire of Gothos, he had, he had a motivation that he was a kid. He was a kid who was enjoying doing make-believe. And you know what? That's all I needed to know. I believed everything. So he didn't have to have any other motivation besides that. But these guys, I'm like, you have unlimited power. You're from a different galaxy. Why are you doing this haunted house thing? And I know that I'm repeating myself, but I mean, that's it. Nothing really happens in the episode until the end.
Nope, nothing really happens. It's a pretty empty episode. I mean, we find out that there's a power struggle between Korob and Sylvia, which, by the way, Fontana put in there. That wasn't there. There was some sort of they didn't have an idea of what conflict was going on there. Korob says we have to report to the old ones, whoever the heck they are. Sylvia says no.
That was dropped too.
But that gave the story something. I like that little bit in the fisheye lens they had on Korob to make his face look kind of out of place.
You're a traitor.
You are a fool. We have nothing like this, and I like it. To touch, to feel, to understand the idea of luxury. I like it.
I like the way they made Sylvia kind of look more like she was enamored with being kind of sultry in the way she looks. And obviously she's the cat. They made that a big deal here.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, though, every time she moved around, the music around her and the rest of the story drives me crazy. I don't know. It's something about it. You said you like it. I just don't like it. It's either too jokey with like almost comedic high points in it, or too draggy in other times. Everything is dun, na, na, na. It just is really slow to me. And I think that draws away my enjoyment from this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts on the music at all? You said you did like it.
I like the music. I just didn't. I didn't like the pointlessness of it. Like, and then she's trying to seduce him, but why? And
Right.
like the vague thing where he's like, "Oh, she wants to experience what it is to be human or something." I'm like,
Right.
Cool. Then why are you acting so aggressive? Like, why are you doing this voodoo thing with the model of the Enterprise? Which I dug. I liked it. I was like, oh man, this is cool. Where is this going? The Enterprise, a space-age ship, is being held up to a candle and is like burning up. And now they're on the ship trying to figure out what's going on. And then they're in the prism and there's this force field. It's like, where's this going? And it goes nowhere. But
Yeah. By the way, that was DC Fontana added that the thing with the ship on the chain.
it's
almost
cool,
like
but
something
why?
cool to buy. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But then you also
The-
have
the
the credits to
motivations.
Navy Beans. Yeah, exactly. The motivations. There's something that you should be aware of is that so she came up with the idea we got to torture the ship somehow, and they put it in a lucite block, that specially made model for this. That was so no one else could beam down. But then again, you're asking yourself why. If they want to capture the ship and they're treating the Enterprise crew as subjects in a test, and they want to do it to the rest of them. They're even threatening to wipe away all humanity and all the planets in the universe. But again, there's no motivation here.
Right.
It doesn't make it. The only motivations I see is Kirk trying to use sex as a tool to get the information on the power source of these two aliens, which is like the magic wand and the pendant.
You are using me. You hold me in your arms and there is no fire in your mind. You're trying to deceive me. It's here. Like words on a page. You are using me.
Why not? You've been using me and my crew.
Which is cool, man. And like, I know this, I'm going to catch hell for this, but her as the giant cat in the room pushing the door down, I kind of dug it. It reminded me a lot of you know who Roger Corman is, of course.
Yes.
Joe Departed, recently deceased at age 99.
Yes. You're talking about that movie with the cat? Or was that a Stephen King movie?
Well, I mean, there are 1,000 movies with cats, Captain. I'm sorry.
No, the Stephen King movie. It was, I can't remember the name of it, with a cat going on different adventures.
Oh, Cat's Eye.
Cat's Eye, yeah. Is that what you're thinking of? Or no, you said Roger Corman.
Yeah, no, it was a cheesy effect that you would have seen in a Roger Corman movie. That being said, I thought it was cool. I thought it was actually that I liked that they were taking it seriously. I believed that there was a 10-foot tall house cat behind there because they did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, they conveyed that very well. I didn't buy it for a plugged nickel. It just really did not do it for me. I will tell you, though, speaking of nickels and money, this is one of the rare times that money is mentioned. The first time money is actually mentioned, kind of. We got David Gerald is a writer who later writes Trouble with the Tribbles. He came up with the phrase credits. Said when LaSalle says as they're trying to break through the lucite block that's surrounding the ship, he says, I'll bet you credit to Navy Beans that we can make a dent in this thing. That is interesting, and especially for a society that has no money. But I just want to know, are Navy Beans that bad?
Well, I'll bet you credits to Navy Beans we can put a dent in it.
Now that's...
I
I actually
like
Navy
beans. I'm not gonna lie. I
They're
think
good
kind
for
of
you.
a perfect food.
Yeah. There's let's see, some other little odds and ends. There's glitter on like the rocks and sand. It was to help the cameras pick it up to make it look otherworldly. That was Jerry Finnerman's idea to this. Roddenberry and Justman said, "We like what you're doing, kind of, even though it seems kind of experimental with your lighting, but it works. You can actually see
part.
it. As I said, the cat didn't behave a lot very well, but
Sure.
The main thing is that the aliens were like going like a certain level to try and figure out humanity, and somehow I guess everyone was looking forward to Halloween on the Enterprise, even though they don't celebrate any holidays whatsoever. I don't know. Maybe they were thinking about candy bars they would get. It doesn't make any sense what it is that they were doing. Honestly, on there, you're right. And then you have this weird power struggle between Korab and Sylvia, which also doesn't make sense in a sense. If he's the leader, she should be listening. And
Yeah.
I guess she's rebelling. And he apparently has a more powerful magic wand than her item, but it doesn't make sense why he can't put her down. Was he that much of a wuss? That doesn't make sense.
You're discarding everything we live by.
I live by my own decisions. You're a weak fool, Korab.
I have the power.
But you're afraid to use it. Don't threaten me. I can squash you. And that would be an interesting sensation, yes.
I don't know. What'd you think of that?
Again, didn't really go anywhere. I don't know. Captain, listen, it didn't go anywhere. The scepter smashed. There was a nice reveal. I really liked the dissolve. And let's just get into the end.
Let's get to that. Well, wait a minute. I just want to point out to you, because I asked you this question. Which version of Sylvia did you like better? When she changed it to
despite kind of being a person who happens to, in my life, been into quite a few brunettes. My wife is a beautiful, gorgeous brunette. More than brunette, her hair is jet black. I thought that blonde hippie was kind of cute. I don't know why.
Well, my favorite actually is her original outfit. That's just me. I just like dark. I like him dark, but like that. But yeah, let's just jump to the end, because there's really nothing else here.
The scepter smashes and they all go away, and then we see the true form of these poor little pathetic, sad galactic beings.
Yes, the galactic beings that are coming here for a reason we're not sure, maybe an invasion, I don't know. But they are marionettes. Shatner noted that you could see the black strings on them in several of the cuts. In the enhanced version, you can't see it that well, but they're not CGI, they're animatronics. But they are pathetic little tiny things that actually dissolve.
Korab and Sylvia, as they really are. Their forms were an illusion, just like the castle and everything else. Only the power pack gave them reality. Fascinating. A life form totally alien to our galaxy. If we could preserve and study this.
I actually like that. That's the only other thing I like on this. So we got 4 things that I like out of this episode. But I like that, where you see them and the weird chirping sound they make as they die. I actually found that as an interesting twist. That everything was an illusion.
Sad. I felt that it was very sad, and it was like, an illusion. And again, I just was like, why? What a good premise, what a good execution, but why the absence of a tale? Why it was not a complete story? And it's heartbreaking because it's like, listen, if you took this and combined it with a lot of other Star Trek things where there were good tales with good motivations, it would be, it would have been a great, great episode. And it is not a great episode, but, we'll get into it. I still really liked it because you have to understand, I love horror. These podcasters once said, all horror movies are my babies. And I kind of feel like that. And I have definitely watched bad horror movies that I give a pass for because they have 1 or 2 redeeming qualities. You know what I mean?
No,
but that's me.
Well, this is not a horror movie to me. This is supposed to be a trick or treat, as McCoy and Kirk try and talk to Spock about. It's supposed to be really for kids. This is what this episode was aimed at, and I think in a way it kind of feels that way. I'm going to just jump to one thing that also makes a nice first impression in this, the very first time, even though we've heard it 6 other times, is the whoosh sound of the Enterprise. in the titles, in the opening titles.
Yeah, I did like
they
that, actually.
And they actually have more music in it than the first season. So that sound of the whooshing, the shh, that's actually a cymbal played backwards. It's the sound effects. Robert Raft, the sound effects guy, that's what he did. He took a guy hitting a cymbal and he played it backwards. And that's what that actually is. But let's before we get to our rating, let's talk about money. How much do you think it is? I'm going to give you a little bit of a helper this time. The studio said, all right, Star Trek, you're very expensive. You can only spend $185,000 per episode. I already told you they went over budget because they built a castle on a weekend with union employees. So how much do you think this cost?
Okay.
$1,967.
We have the full cast, a full complement, no one missing. We have Scotty, McCoy, Spock, Kirk, Chekhov, Sulu, and Uhura. We've got sets. We've got good dissolves. We've got special effects. We've got optical effects. And the union thing. 219,000.
Well, that's pretty good, Mike. It cost $217,285.
All right,
$1,500. Kind of way more than the $185 that they wanted to spend. What does that equal to in today's dollars? Why, that equals $2,047,917.63 in 2024. Very expensive for this episode. That's even more than most TNG episodes, to tell you the truth, which averaged $1 million an episode. That's insane for what we got here. But that's what the costs are. I don't have anything else really other to say in this, but so I guess we'll just jump to our ratings.
The plot was so kind of simplistic, and like I said, it was incomplete. So this is a shorter episode because, it's a shorter episode because I don't have that much to complain about. My complaint is like one big thing. There's only so much you can talk about it, and the rest was pretty good. So, yeah.
Well, wait. So what are you going to give it on our scientific 1 to 10 scale?
Okay, I'm just going to say, listen, you know me, I take my writing extraordinarily seriously, and I do, and I felt really bad that they had such a good premise and they didn't stick with it. But that being said, I give this a big old boost, because I loved so many other things. I love the spooky. I love spooky in general. The set design, that they were trying something new. So, Captain, believe it or not, despite me who loves and values good writing above everything, despite this super flawed episode, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
Wow, a 7 out of 10. Well, I guess
Catspaw,
what? We are going to disagree on this one. So my exciting rating on this, I don't like the story. I find it draggy. I find the music drags it down. The story makes no sense. I think it starts strong. I think it ends on an interesting twist that everything's an illusion. I just don't like it. But not to the point that I hate it. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. It's got a lot of nice things in it, but it's got so many more things that are lacking. It really just drags me down. I just can't get into it. If I had a choice of watching this or, I don't know, watching the news, I think I'd rather watch the news, honestly, which has got its own horror in it. This over there, however, it just doesn't do it for me. So there's our scores. Mike gave it a 7 and I gave it a 5. That's a pretty big split.
You know what this kind of, I kind of I should have said this towards the beginning. What a good TNG episode that kind of, I would dare say, had a similar premise, but did not have the writing problem because figured out a good motivation for the villain. Devil's Due.
Well, Devil's Due is more fun than this, and that's more,
but it's similar.
Well, no, I think it has more in common with Who Mourns for Adonais in some ways, Devil's Due. Devil's Due is the story of Ardra, a alien super being, or so we think.
And Feklar.
Who can change into Feklar, the god
you
of
are
the
not
Klingon
Feklar.
underworld. Right. She's basically trying to take over a planet based on a superstitious contract made to straighten out the people on this planet by saying, if you don't straighten yourselves out, or if you do straighten yourselves out, I'm going to come back and 5,000 years and take over, and you should clean yourselves up in the meantime. And then we find out how people are just quickly ruled by superstitions and, a bit of stupidity at the same time. And that was that episode. I don't see that as this. I will tell you this, I think has more in common with a Rose by Any Other Name, or By Any Other Name, which is in the 3rd season of Star Trek when we get there in the original series. For Next Gen, I can't really think of too many other things where it's just all illusion, except for maybe a bad holodeck type of thing gone wrong. But I don't think there's an equivalent in either TNG, DS9, or Voyager, or even Enterprise that has this. I think this is more of a mind game than trying to be anything else, which is bigger in the 60s than I would say in the 80s and 90s, which is more technological. So, I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. But that's it. Anything else you want to add to this episode, or nothing? I don't think so.
Yeah, not exactly. Yeah, no, I'm pretty. Listen, I'm in a weird. As much as I liked it, I'm disappointed that it didn't have more plot, and it's a real, I'm in between the catch-22 because the more I like it, the more I dislike it. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, it was so good to being close to being good, but then it wasn't.
All right.
So yeah. Anyway, Captain.
Yep. I guess that's where we're going to end this on this one.
I appreciate it. It was a good one for Halloween, for Halloween season. What do we got looking forward to next week?
Well, next week we have something I'm waiting to hear on this one. It's called I Mud. It's the second of the...
Oh, no.
Botany Bay? No, it's not that. It's the return of Harry Mudd. It's one of 3 in the original series, and I'm counting the animated series on top of that. That's the next episode, I Mud. Actually, I like that Mud story better than the first one. I enjoy Roger Cormell, but that'll be next time on our episodes of Yelling at Gaseous Anomalies. And remember to like, share, and subscribe, and find us on all your podcatchers out there, and like us on YouTube. But don't forget to hit that notification button. And as always, if you have any questions or you want to comment on anything besides commenting on YouTube or on a podcatcher, you can always shoot us an email at yellingatgas@gmail.com. And as always, please buy one of our nice T-shirts on our TeePublic store at Yelling at Gas on the TeePublic website. Show your Yelling at Gaseous Anomalies love. And as always, I'd like to thank my co-host, Michael Pontone. Thanks again for joining me on this weird, mind-bending Halloween episode, Mike.
Thank you, Captain.
And I guess we'll wrap it up over here. And just to say, everyone out there, thanks for joining us. Live long and prosper. And see you out there.